I'm Dan Watson.
I'm Paul Sloggett. Welcome to the Dirt.
Yeah, back in as normal. We got a great episode tonight here of a lad that I've probably met a couple of times over the years, but only really properly met last year at the championship.
Yeah, same with me.
He's some might say he's the best mountain boarder in Northern Ireland. I mean, now the Scots have claimed Lisa McLennan and Adam David. I can't think of too many others, especially that are still cracking on in Northern Ireland. But maybe we'll find out if there are more tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, for your oral and visual pleasure, please welcome to the chat, David Marshall. Oh, we've just got a picture of him at the minute. I thought he'd put up some weird little green screen or something then. Maybe he will stay like that. He's got a cool King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard t-shirt on in this picture.
There we go.
Sorry, I had to agree to this being recorded. I was sitting there very confused. But how's it going, fellas?
Yeah, all good.
Good evening.
I was just admiring your King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard t-shirt.
Thank you. Massive fan. Yeah.
They're a crazy band.
They're mad.
Crazy,
They're mad.
Yeah, absolute madness. Everything from thrash metal to jazz to pop to everything. Absolutely mental. I love it.
They do it all. 5 albums in 1 year. That sort of band.
Yeah. That's good going, isn't it?
Yeah, they've done something crazy as well. A stupid amount of albums in total.
Yeah,
some work ethic. Anyhow, we're not here to talk about King Gizzard and the Wizard or the Lizard Wizard, whichever way around it is. We're here to talk a little bit about you, David, if that's all right.
Bad.
How are you?
I'm great, so I am. It's cool to be on this. It's a bit odd because I've watched a lot of these. And now I'm the guy in the picture, so that's new. But in fact, when I met you, Slogs, at the campsite, Talia thought I was listening to the podcast.
Outside the tent.
Yeah. It was confusing, like.
Because when we bumped into it was like early doors, like during the week before the champs, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you were just popping in to visit and then heading down to Bude, I think it was, wasn't it?
That was the plan. I was supposed to go down to Bude, and everybody at Bugs was so nice. We were just like, we'll just stay. As well as we're going to rain. And I was like, well, I can either try and sneak. Stay at Bugs. But yeah, magic. So it was.
Yeah, you definitely became a Bugs local for that week, didn't you?
It was great. So it was. Everybody's just super friendly.
Yeah.
It was really nice to be sort of brought into the fold very quickly. I was sort of used to going over to big events and being, small fish in a big pond. Going over to like the World Freestyle Champs and stuff, and there being 600, 700 people there.
They were the days back then.
Yeah, what year? We must be talking 2006 to 2010, around that era.
Yeah,
don't we?
It was when it was at the Big Sheep or Swanbuck.
Yeah.
They had Red Bull and all there. It was nuts, absolutely nuts. Just to I don't know. I went down. Just my parents were staying nearby, and it was just a case of I like mountain boarding. Can we go and see this? And expected, small number of people. But suddenly it's like this massive event with riders from all over the world as well.
You were on a family holiday?
Yeah, it was just a family holiday.
Did you not know that it was going on at the same time?
No clue. We'll get that side when I start to
how
I got in.
I mean, because obviously we should rewind it back to the start a little bit. But at this holiday, you were already into mountain boarding, right?
I was into mountain boarding, and we were staying actually in Bude, and essentially like just see a pamphlet or something. It was something, didn't see it in ATV mag, didn't see it in any of those because I wasn't that deep into mountain boarding at the time. And then suddenly, what's happening down the road? It was
So
nuts.
everything's coming up Dave Marshall.
Yeah, yeah. As well as like an introduction for like my dad to be like, okay, this is fucking sport.
This is the
He
real.
comes from like basketball background and everything, had to be competitive and all this, and suddenly you're able to be like, look at this. This is amazing. You know.
Cracking. Well, while we're back there, let's wind it back to the start. How did you find mountain boarding, or how did mountain boarding find you?
Essentially, I think you describe it as I found a mountain board. There was a big factory shop in Belfast called Macro, and it's sort of, it's a shop that sells to shops. And my mum was able to get in there because she worked in like primary school sort of thing, and she was buying supplies, and I would get dragged along. But on one of the shelves, there was an Exit mountain board. I don't know the exact model, but the board was 50 quid. So I was like, I want that, And I think at a birthday or something coming up, and was just like, was already into skating and, mucking about in the street, but I lived in the country. So like seeing something like that with the big wheels and the bindings, I was like, this is something I could use everywhere. But had no clue of mountain boarding pre seeing that thing on a shelf.
What year are we talking here?
It would have been probably 2003, 4, sort of time. And just, it was this Exit mountain board. It didn't even have post bindings. It was just like pieces of fabric with Velcro on them. But it was, gets people through the door. That's what I think of that sort of product. I think, I don't know, maybe there's a need for a 50 quid mountain board now.
There's a need for a beginner model, a walk into complete that's just cheap as chips.
Yeah. Because I mean, everybody starts with like, if you're a skater, you're starting with an Argos skateboard, something terrible. People start with skateboards with plastic trucks, and then you realize, oh, that shit.
Yeah.
Spend a bit more, spend a bit more.
I think that's the problem, is that should you get on with it and enjoy it, you outgrow any of those boards that are that entry level price and spec so rapidly, and it's kind of counterproductive, isn't it? Because if you go too base end and get a board that is ill fitting for your size or weight or ability, you'll put yourself off, because you'll run yourself a mischief.
That's true. Yeah.
But so how do you get a premium product at an entry level price? That's the thing, and that probably only comes through mass manufacturing, and
China.
Yes.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, we can assume.
I've seen a few cheap ones in AliExpress and been like, there's a part of me that's just tempted to get one just to see.
Just to see how quick you can break it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an idea. Maybe there's an idea for a video there. We could do you see all those, I bought the cheapest board on AliExpress and
I threw myself down a fucking great hill.
Yeah, and then took it to Crooked Mustard or something.
Big jumps at bugs.
To see if we can destroy it in like 15 minutes. I reckon you'd probably stand a pretty good chance.
I think so.
A board slide or a big air or something like that, like off the big drop, you'd snap anything.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, it lasted a good while until basically I started taking it off dirt jumps, and they're just it's not made for that. Like I was hitting a ramp in the lane beside my house with like a bunch of different guys, skaters and people on scooters and stuff, and eventually, I lured them into buying mountain boards. But, it's fine off this little kicker, 4 bricks high, that sort of thing. But yeah, as soon as you brought it to something serious, I think the wheels just started like bending in and out. And yeah, it was a total mess. But yeah, when I got that, it was strange too, because again, I thought, I must be the only person in the UK with one of these. I'd never seen a mountain board. I had searched online, and it would always bring me to like MBS's website, where you'd see these guys just piling down these massive, massive dirt tracks, and just, all the videos were about blood and guts, and
Yeah.
this crazy riding style. And I was a bit like, this is my kind of thing. I think that style can put some people off, but for me, I don't know, maybe it's my generation. I was like, that's class. That is what I want to try on this. I probably, like most of the time I'm a free rider nowadays. So I suppose those videos, rubbed off on me a bit. But yeah, in my head, I was just the only person doing this. And then eventually I got a scrub Lion Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it wasn't Scrub Lion Canyon. It was a Scrub Furnace Creek.
The big red and yellow one.
Like
Big
the orange
red
one.
Red, yeah. There's big old
Yeah.
9-inch wheels on it as well, I think.
Yeah, it was like a big door. So it was-
So, like, at this point, what terrain are you riding? Where are you riding? Just riding local spots?
just local spots, doing stuff like stair sets, and nothing too extreme. To be honest, I was just like, learning your first grabs, learning the 180, not really
On the
going.
Furnace Creek, it was probably
Yeah,
it must be about 6 foot long and about 4 foot wide. Like you say, it is a fire door. That's
was.
red and wine.
Yeah. The guy I passed that to could 360 it.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, off a 4-foot ramp, which is pretty well done. But yeah, I think again, you upgrade boards and suddenly things become a bit easier. I think the Furnace Creek was a lot better at handling speed.
Mhm.
Because most of the time I was on tarmac and we'd hit these sort of like bombing hills in a longboard. And just keep it sort of on tarmac. But it was good. I had my friends in the street. They all ended up getting boards. I eventually got a Comp 16, which was sort of, the mountain board.
Yeah.
But while all this is happening, while I'm thinking I must be the only person in Ireland who has one of these, I'm all alone sort of thing. Surfing Dirt was opening.
Right.
So I think Surfing Dirt started in 2003 was when it opened. It was opened by a guy named Gary Parr, who originally had come from kite surfing. But when he'd kite surfed, he sort of had used like a skateboard with big wheels on it.
Okay. Like an XT board.
I think so, yeah. And he just bombed up and down a beach with that. And then just by luck, he was at a conference in Birmingham in the NEC.
Right.
And I think he was at like a completely unrelated conference. It was like quantity surveying, something to do with his job. But beside it, there was an outdoor pursuits conference. And AJ Watkins was working there, and they did demo ramp and stuff. So like he was blown away by that. And sort of decided he would buy his own board. He'd get, I think he got like a scrub that had like slick tires, or tires with, I don't know, the ones with like circles on them. That's not really like a tread.
Tread's going that way.
Yeah, he got one of them. Came home, started riding it, realized that he knew a landowner, and then just like immediately leapt into starting surfing dirt. Super impressed by the sport and thought it would just take off really quickly.
Well, look, if you've got a little crew of you, but at this point on your street,
Mm-hmm.
surely there's his original pad monkeys right there.
Sort of.
So how far away from where you live at this point was Surf and Dirt?
It would be about a 40-minute drive. I'm in Belfast and it's in Newcastle in the Mourne Mountains. Um, so I didn't discover Surf and Dirt until I think it was they did it's an event on the World Series of Mountain Boarding. It
Hmm.
was 3G Gravity Guts Glory. Um, so later became mobile phones. But I think like I went to that event again just as like a spectator, and then realized that like there's I'd seen Leon Robbins, I'd seen Tom Kirkman, I'd seen all these like people that are like massive names in mountain boarding were like my introduction to what mountain boarding kind of really is. Not that like street mountain boarding isn't a thing, Adam. Uh, but that was my sort of like introduction to wow, this is a scene. Look at all these people doing this. This is nuts. This is crazy. I gotta like try and get down here every weekend. Um, so from then on, I sort of just became surf and dirt local, sort of arriving in as much as I could. And through that, just started to discover like loads of different bits to do with mountain boarding. Started getting my ATV mags. Started hanging around with a lot of the local riders.
Mhm.
There was sort of a group before me that I sort of want to call out because they were like seriously good riders. They were the ones that I was like, they're proper mountain boarders. So there was a fella named David Wiley who was like, if you put a rugby player on a mountain board, he was like this giant guy who would just like, he'd just bulldoze people. He'd just
Yeah.
through people. So like he won every bordercross race that he was in. He just
Dominated the track.
dominated the track. Like would during that event, I'm pretty sure he was challenging like Tom Kirkman, and you know, he was just a seriously good downhiller.
Mm.
And then we had some really good freestyle riders too. There was John McGuckin, who was like brilliant, massive one footers, would do them the sort of board grabbing American way.
Yeah.
Um, and then Johnny, who I think Lisa was talking about in her podcast, Johnny got
Yeah.
massive dreadlocks, loads of style, and just brilliant freestyler, able to like style out frontside threes and stuff. And then finally Leo and Sam are just like, I don't know, if there's anybody who's like the core of Irish mountain boarding, it's them too.
Gorman Brothers.
The Gorman brothers, they were there from the start of Surf and Dirt to the end of Surf and Dirt.
Mhm.
They're just sort of like a constant. If you went to the center, they were there.
Yeah.
And that was it. I think they lived up the road.
It kind of felt for a little while that if ever there was any or like voiceovers of any of the events, you'd always hear the names Leo and Sam Gorman.
Yeah.
Very much on the UK scene as well. I think they followed the tour around as part of the circus for a while, didn't they?
Yeah. I think Leo was at least there was an under 12s category and an under 14s. I think it was pretty much Leo Gorman and Mick Kirkman. And that was, sort of cool for us to be like, this guy's going over to England and sort of representing us and winning races. And, like, it's just cool, to have someone over there representing you. As well as Sam was a hell of a rider too, really good border cross rider. Pretty sure he did well in all his categories as well. But unfortunately, every time they asked me to go over, I was all about maybe not, maybe not.
Oh yeah.
But again, it was a case of like convincing my parents, which again brings me back to sort of seeing the freestyle champs.
Mm.
That was the real like wow moment. I think changed their mind and I started to go over a bit more often.
Yeah. I think it gives it a bit of legitimacy, doesn't it? When your parents or guardians, I suppose, see it for real.
And it's mad that he just bumped into it.
Yeah.
Like, just really random. The biggest event possibly in this country ever.
It's crazy.
One of them, at least.
Yeah. I think the thing with me too is that I think I knew there was probably something happening, but in my head, my geography is that bad that I had no idea that it was near me.
Yeah.
Like for example, we always used to go to Longleat. It's like a big country estate. That's not that far away from Bugs Borden. I think it's an hour. We went there every
An hour or
year.
two, yeah.
Yeah, there were loads of places that I just didn't realize were like close to places we'd stay in the caravan, and then get a bit older and you realize, I should have been, going to every center,
If you went to Longley every year and you were traveling from like Holyhead across on the ferry via Holyhead, you'd have had to have driven past to get to Longley at least 5 centres.
Yeah.
Pretty much like
Ding, ding, ding.
yeah.
It's
At
not
least
5%. Yeah, I think at one point we started realizing that mum and dad would always stop in Cheshire Oaks. It's like a big factory shop.
Oh, right. Just down the way from Super Bowl, the Hart Hill.
Yeah, and I think I had convinced them to let me go there while they did shopping. And that became sort of like a little yearly tradition, which was good. Like getting to those centers is it's class just to see, like a ski lift at a mountain board center. That was cool. Stuff like that was really like eye opening. As well as like you just come home from holiday and you'd just be full of stories talking about these centers. But after I'd seen the World Freestyle Champs, I sort of realized that like we were down in Bude. I don't know if you knew there's a centre called Ivy Leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That opened up there. It was a class little centre. So it was it's very small, but it was tightly packed. It had like all these little runs and sort of every aspect of freestyle jump that you could want. And a foam pit for a while too. So for a few years, I sort of would let them in Bude go off, do their holiday stuff, and I would just hang out at that centre. Sort of a mascot for the summer, I suppose.
What is that? The place where you went to where there was just like a field with a sign at the top that said mountain boarding?
Me?
Yeah.
No, that was Big Sheep.
That was Big Sheep, was it?
Yeah, and it nearly made me cry.
I can say because you've done a few instructor courses at Bude over the years.
That's at the Adventure Centre, the big, massive hotel-like building with dormitories right on the beachfront.
Ah.
They've got a shit hill as well.
We'll have to investigate, see if Ivy Leaf's still there, or if there's any remnants
and bumps of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe it's just been, if it's all still there but been repurposed into a zorbing area or something, you might still be able to.
At Big Sheep, where the border cross was, it's all just terraced down with caravans all over it now.
Right.
It's awful.
That's sad.
That was a great track too. The roller burn.
Oh yeah.
Mad. That was actually because we went to the World Freestyles Championships, and then the next year, sort of I'd been riding surf and dirt and stuff, and sort of felt as if, I'll give this a go. I'll have a go at a proper race. I'll get involved. That was the first track I ever had like a proper bordercross race on.
Oh, nice.
Fairly scary. So it was sort of like, it wasn't that hectic a track, but I think at Surf and Dirt we would do a lot of races with just 2 people. But when you get 4 people going down the track at the same time, that's a whole other game.
It's a special moment, isn't it? Heading into that first corner at Mach 10 when you're 400. But tell us, what was Surf and Dirt the park, the centre like? You know, what features did you have there? You had a border cross. Was it wide enough to accommodate 4 people there, or?
We could have done 4 people. I think it was just a case of like we'd like to separate the riders out into their own age groups. But then you sort of run out of riders. So we just did 2-man races. I think 4 people could do it. It was a great little track. It was far rougher than most of the tracks in England. I don't think that was, it wasn't Gary neglecting the track. It was built on like a sort of dirt that would just fall apart. So just riding it sort of like, you end up with stones and shale and stuff in it, and like these massive boulders that would be parts of berms. But it was a good track, certainly a good way to sort of like learn how to pump properly and stuff too, because to make the track longer, there was long sections that weren't necessarily like on steep downhills. Sort of like, the top of Bugs.
Yeah.
Track where it sort of feels like you got to work for your speed and then the bottom speeds up. But Surf and Dirt was sort of like you have to work for your speed most of this, which was good. I mean, to be honest,
track rhythm track.
Yeah, it was great. So it was freestyle wise. We at the start there was sort of a lot of just small wooden kickers, or else there was a lot of wooden kickers to dirt landings, a lot of stuff like that. Then we sort of ended up with a few dirt jumps, but they were always like higher up the hill. There was lots of like gorse bushes.
Right.
So these dirt jumps, you sort of had to get your speed through the gorse and up into this dirt jump and back down.
Like that.
It was always, it was scary because it's like you're trying to get, to that sort of like I'm gonna clear the table speed, and you just have gorse bushes, both sides of you, as well as they all surrounded the border cross tracks. So if you came off, you were just like head first.
That sounds like the gnarliest border cross track ever.
Yeah, if you came off a berm, you just lay in it, and then like getting out of those bushes is.
Oh yeah, they're not different. I mean, we have plenty of gorse down here in Cornwall, and it always looks lovely and pretty with its lovely yellow flowers on. But I've fallen in it a few times.
Oh,
not ideal.
It's not good. You're just picking that stuff out for days. But yeah, Surf and Dirt was great. Freestyle wise, we also ended up getting. There's a ramp. I think Gary decided it was like the bottom and. No, I think it was the bottom of the drop-in and another ramp. So it was a ramp that was basically double wide. So you could ride 2 people up a ramp that was, I think it must have been 4 foot or 5 foot tall. Like it was a proper big kicker. But you could ride 2 people up it at the same time. And like, it's a sort of ramp Leo used to backflip off it. But it was just nuts. It was stuff like that. When we ended up with stuff like that, we just didn't know what to do. We were like, what are we going to do off this? We have to figure this out. But luckily we had people like the Gormans who were used to hitting the big features in England to sort of show us what to do. But yeah, at one point we actually we took that ramp way, way back. And it was probably like, I think we were like, someone should park their car in there, but then just completely overestimated how wide a car is. So I think we had the ramp back 2 cars length. We weren't very smart. So Leo hit that, but he hit it so fast, he cleared the 2 cars, let's say that space of 2 cars, and the landing of the ramp. So I don't know. I'll try and find the video clip, but the jump is like it's like the Bugs jumps, except he's landing flat. I don't know how his ankles.
Did he ride out of it or did he bail?
I think he did the old just sort of like drag your hands. I think he rode off.
The power of youth.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He definitely he just like fall points back up, backside three.
Yeah.
They're-
Did you were they your crew back in the days of surfing dirt, or were they your elders as such?
They would have been sort of my crew, I suppose. I'm a bit older than Leo and Sam, but one of the guys who I would have been hanging out with in the street, he ended up sort of becoming a surfing dirter, a guy named Tim Hamill.
Right.
Um, but he always used to come up with me and actually ended up going over to England with me a few times. But again, another good freestyler, could do his 360s, could do, I think his best trick was a 181 footer, which was a really odd trick because he ended up making it look like a no comply, but he didn't take his foot out at the start. And then just swings the board back onto his foot, sort of like you would do with a no comply.
Mhm.
But yeah, I suppose that crew when I was in surfing dirt would have been myself, Tim, Leo, and Sam. There's a guy named Chris McCann, who's a good mountain boarder. I think he went over to England a few times. A guy named Brenton Totten, who just started and then ended up being quite a good downhill rider. And then another good freestyler called Thomas. They just sort of ended up being my little crew at Surfing Dirt. And it was always good. Like every time I was up there, everybody was there. There wasn't really a weekend I could arrive into Surfing Dirt and not have one or two of them about.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing with centres, to be honest with you, is that you arrive in, there's going to be a mountain boarder there.
Well, that's it. They're a community hub, aren't they? Well, they were a community hub for us. Bugs has still got it. The track's still got it. But when you look overseas as well to the likes of, well, what would have been surf and dirt, but more specifically Europe and stuff like the French, they've got it on lock. They've got a real good community surrounding their centres, whether that be, just the riders themselves, but if they've got youth involved, generally the parents are involved and so on and so forth. And, everybody helps out. It does seem to be a lot more social over there. But maybe we could learn a thing or two about from that and going forward.
That's it. Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most important things right now in mountain boarding is just starting little groups and I don't know, encouraging anybody who steps on a board to
Yeah.
progress. I've always said that, like, because I did a few lessons at Surfing Dirt, I was pretty useless, despite being like a lecturer. Uh, there's a big difference between teaching a few students and a youth group from Belfast. But I think the best thing to do is just to get someone if they're good enough, if they can point the board in a straight line, get them to hit the smallest ramp, get them that little like, whoa, that was amazing, because in their head they're 100 meters high, they're flying. It might be the tiniest thing.
A simple ride on rail as well.
Yeah.
Just boosts them straight up. They think they're fucking Evel Knievel.
And it gives them something to focus on as well, rather than a big expanse of, being told, go down there, do a J, explained how to do a J turn, but nobody says, you're not heading towards any specific area. If you've got a ramp or, like you say, a ride on rail, there's no real danger involved if it's one brick high or like you don't have to ollie onto it or anything. You just hold it in a straight line. It gives, like you say, that immediate boost.
Yeah, I definitely think like it begins them on sort of if I'm hitting this ramp or this rail, what's next? Do I need to
looking around, seeing what features are next size up.
That's it. Or else just being like, could I do an ND? Could I do a 180? Could I do, sets them off. I think you need that instead of just, I went pretty fast there. But it depends on the rider too. If they're not equipped to make it over a ramp safely. You don't want to put them over it. You know, I've seen that a few
I
times.
think of a couple of pictures of old that some of the riders shouldn't have been on the ramps, maybe.
Hmm.
The best mountain board picture ever. Maybe if I remember, I'll insert here. um, but yeah, so we talked. You said earlier, like how you thought you might have been the only mountain boarder in Northern Ireland.
Mhm.
Without jumping too much forward, have you got a crew now?
I sort of do. I sort of like re-recruited people, but not surf and dirters. Most of those surf and dirters are over in England, or Adam and Lisa are both up in Scotland. You
Yeah.
know, but I went to uni in Derry, and there was a fella up there who was big into skating, and I was always badgering him. You should come mountain boarding. You should come mountain boarding. You should try it out. And I got him out. I got him out that board. But just got him hitting a ramp. And again, like, because he was a skater, he was like, oh, I could do an indie. Oh, I could do, tried all these different grabs. Like, I think people, when they start off, especially from like a skating background, they want to do like all the grabs. So they're
Yeah.
all like these individual little tricks. While like grabs to me, I'm like, it's all right. I think I'm more like tweak that out rather than do the most complex. I don't know, what's a double roast beef called? Gorilla or something, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he just got hooked, fascinated with it. But then, university started, well, it started ramping up. You had to do more work, and suddenly mountain boarding sort of went to the wayside. But I've re-recruited him, Brian, gave him one of my old boards, and now we're out every other week.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. I got Tim back into it too. But it's just great to know people still have that sort of passion for it.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
think.
just having someone to walk back up the hills with is the big motivator for me, certainly.
Yeah, I think the thing is too, there's a lot to be said about just like a session.
Mm.
Like we're hitting, the MTB hopper ramps,
Yeah.
fold down ones. We just hit that. So we do. There's a lot more features and a lot more cool stuff to do, but most of our sessions end up just being like encouraging each other to like relearn old tricks or try new ones.
Yeah.
And like that's just, I don't know, it's fun. You're learning together. You're like get to see each other fall over. That's always good.
That is always good.
It's a big part of it, to be honest with you. As well as I've pushed Talia down a hill a few times on the mountain boards.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Yeah.
How did you take to it?
I think, well, she initially was very, very scared. I mean, it's mountain boarding, like it's sort of, the idea of being strapped in and your feet not, that gets in people's heads so much, the like idea that your feet are strapped to it. But to me, it's like 100 times safer. Every time I go skating, I'm like, ugh. But I don't know. She essentially like I've taken her down just like nice grass hills, got her to do the J turn. Next time around, I'll try and get her to do power slides. Just going through lessons slowly. Because with the lessons, I think you can just push the kids down in the hills. They'll always bounce back. With Italian being a bit more like, I'll get in trouble if you fall over,
You'll be in the fucking doghouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be your fault if she falls over now, won't it?
That's it. As well as I'll be like, why'd you do that? And then you're in real trouble once you say that.
I gotta tell you, it was an absolute joy to meet Talia last year. She is a ray of light and just super, super funny. It was awesome. It was awesome to meet you. Well, awesome to meet you both.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm lucky that Talia, I sort of initially like had arranged, not to be in bugs the whole time because it was like, what if Talia doesn't like this? What if it's not her thing? Because I knew it's my thing, like,
Fucking 100%.
but it was a bit like, what if this, I don't want to drag her to like, 10 days at Bugs Borden, as well as like, I still have this idea that a mountain board center is just like at Surf and Dirt, we had a toilet and a shipping container where we stored the boards. That was it. Over the time there was a wee shop and stuff there, but in my head it's still that original Surf and Dirt, which was like porta potty, shipping container. So the fact that Bugs had a shower, I was like, we can stay here. Can't. But yeah, she just loved it. She loved like everybody was so friendly. She loved the fact that like she could sit at the top of the hill and have a chat with different people. I think she just got on with everybody well. She got on with Nina. She chat away to Nathan. She chat away Nathan's partner, and just yeah.
Well,
and obviously Claire.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time for her. She really enjoyed meeting her.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Claire was the one who sort of like grabbed us and was like, come on in, come on into the fold, and like started us chatting to people. Because I remember going to the big events, your Swanbuck, and we went over, I think it was like, oh, where'd we go? We went to Court Farm, and I think I did an event at Super Bowl. But again, like at those events, there were so many people, and you were a small, face the crowd sort of thing.
Mhm.
But like when I went to Bugs, everybody was just like chatting away to us. And then at one point, I had this like really surreal moment where I was down in the pub with Slogs, Claire, and the UK's top riders. It's a bit like, what the fuck?
But that's because the scene's gone from 600 down to 6. You
Yeah.
are one of the top riders in the UK now, Dave.
No. I was just a bit like, what the fuck? Like, because that's the thing. The reason I got back into this, because I completely stopped for about 10 years. Surf and Dirt closed down. Is that I seen a video, I think it was made by Eamon, called like Snowboarding with Wheels.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's amazing. Mountain boarding's still going. Look at all these people. It was brilliant. Just like a proper, felt like a good introduction to the community, not only the sport. It's the one that I like tell people to go and watch that if they want to know what mountain boarding's about.
Yeah.
Because in terms
Good
of
shout.
like, it's the best introduction video I think there is, because it shows why people are passionate about the sport, not why the sport's good. And I think seeing people's passion for something is like a better way to get people into something. You see all these riders talking about, how much it's changed their life and how they use it as an escape. I think I don't know, that's the best mountain boarding video, in my opinion.
Yeah. Shout on that.
But yeah, watched that, realized that Adam was still out there boarding. Naturally watched all his videos after that. And he's like, you watch one of his like yearly videos, and what is like this tiny little trick that he's just thrown in, it's like in between two bigger things. It could be like a backside no comply or something. And you go, why the fuck does he do that? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much that he just throws in just casually, 360 no complies and stuff. And you go, that doesn't make sense. This is like a skating trick,
He seems to see the terrain a little bit differently to other people.
Yeah.
Figures out different ways of utilizing the terrain, that wouldn't occur to most people.
I think that's the thing too, is that he came in sort of at the very end of surfing dirt, which is a really unfortunate time to get into the sport.
Yeah.
Which is probably what made him have that style, is that he didn't have a center.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And he does. I think he does a lot of riding on his own, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. He sort of. I know he did a lot of flat ground stuff, which is like, I never thought of mountain boarding as a flat ground sport, and then you see him and you go, things that guy can do. It's nuts. It's just like, I don't know. That dude's the Rodney Mullen of mountain boarding. He's coming up with stuff and doing just completely original tricks. But I sort of proud that he comes from Ireland.
Well, I mean, when Surfing Dirt sort of closed its doors as such,
mm-hmm.
What happened to the local crew? Did it just sort of burst the bubble and just everybody stopped riding, or did it continue on in a sort of like localish?
Kind of. What essentially happened was a lot of the riders got into skating. And I was never that fussed on skateboarding, so I'd bring the mountain board along. Sometimes I'd try and skate, and I was just useless. I don't know. I need my feet strapped to that board. I kind of don't understand it. But essentially, a lot of them got into skateboarding, and mountain boarding sort of became this very secondary thing. And even for me, like after I went to uni, did a PhD, and that just
Kept that one quiet. Oh, Doc here. Doc,
Christ. I did a PhD in brain controlled computer games. So
come again, as the verdict says.
Brain controlled computer games. It's like what Elon Musk lies about.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So you've got a doctorate in that as a subject. Do you still work in that field now?
No, I've just gone straight games. I am working in a studio in Belfast. We're making a Gaelic football game.
Right.
Sort of like Gaelic football, sort of like faster rugby. It's probably the way to describe it. But it's cool to still be making games. So it is. The BCI stuff sounds really cool. That's a brain controlled interface. But in practice, it's very, I don't know, you have to be train the machine. The machine figures out, what does this person want to do using this brain response, and then carries out an action. It's sort of like a very slow process. So I don't know. I think I just wanted to make games, to be honest, and not write papers.
Fair enough. But what if you're working on games now? Do you have a say at all in the? Do you get to pitch ideas?
Oh yeah. I was expecting this.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now you're seeing where I'm going. We know where this path is leading.
Yeah.
So how come? Subway Surfers, I think, was the last mountain board, something like that it was called.
It was Sewer Run.
Sewer Run, that's it.
Yeah, which really sounds like mountain board.
There was an unlock that you could get on a phone, like on a Trials Extreme game or something like that. You could unlock a mountain boarder with a motor on it as such. That's two mountain board games that I can think of.
I'm fascinated why, what do you call it? It's the big extreme sports game. You can do downhill bikes, you can do snowboards, you can do.
Oh, it's not Steep. It's the one that came Riders Republic.
Riders Republic. It fascinates me why they don't have a mountain board, because they have all the mechanics for a mountain board.
All the mechanics there, and they've got just as niche a bloody sports in there, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't understand it. Like it seems like an easy, like
Yeah.
from a game dev background, like spend a week on it. I don't know. You know,
But yeah,
like
what's the reality? You've not got to change anything other than do a new wardrobe for the riders and put some wheels on a snowboard.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
essentially you could probably
shorten the graphics and put some tires on it. You got to.
it's probably easier to do a mountain board than a snowboard. So it is. Just thinking about it, like in a snowboard, you have the lateral movement of sliding and stuff, while in a mountain board, you're pretty much pointed down the hill, but then you could add the lateral movement and just have it slow you down way more. I don't know. They have all the building blocks. Come on, Ubisoft. I
Do
don't know.
you know what? When that game first, I saw adverts for it in like beta and stuff like that.
Mm.
I remember, and I'm pretty sure James Wanklin commented as well that we went on him like, oh, what you should be featuring mountain boarding in this as a different discipline. They've done countless updates and stuff like that with different other genres. They just haven't done it.
Yeah, it's a shame. So it is.
I'll tell you what,
Aye.
I've got no idea what you pair are talking about, but I will say I've not seen Dan this animated for a while.
Well, it's just an absolute travesty. As somebody who enjoys playing games, especially over the years, I've very much enjoyed snowboarding and skateboarding games. The
Mm.
Tony Hawk sort of era of my sort of youth
Yeah,
games.
it's the reason I picked up a skateboard. Simple
Yeah,
as that.
yeah, it was
That's not a reason for a mountain board game. Get more people on the boards.
well, there you go. I mean, uh, I'm I'm not saying this as anything against the Irish classical game of Gaelic
Mm.
football, but like surely the world the worldwide market might be a little bit bigger for a mountboarding game.
That's it. Well, the thing is that I think like there's definitely I was chatting to folks in work about it, and I was essentially said to them about Sewer Run, and they knew it,
Yeah,
but didn't know mountain boarding.
like,
Which kind of like that actually, because I've always gone like mountain boarding's, it's too niche. I don't think you could do a big game on mountain boarding. I don't think, you know, you couldn't do a triple A or double A game.
Like a standalone.
They cost millions and millions of pounds. It's serious investment. But could you do a small independent game that, you release for £2 or something?
yeah,
Stick it on mobile, stick it on Steam. There's lots of budget releases nowadays.
yeah.
You probably could. Like it's like any business. It just depends on time frames. But you could do a mountain boarding game. I'm not saying at some point, like my company, I'm not the guy who says what games we do. It's very much
You get me an email, or a phone number, and Monday morning I'm going to give them a call and
we'll
lobby.
all
Dan will hound the fuck out of them.
Maybe don't give me that email if you like your job.
That's it.
Uh,
Who in this office does mountain boarding?
yeah.
Yeah.
We need to narrow where this person's got my email from.
Um, but the thing is that if I was, because every now and then you do what you call game jams. So you try and build a game in a weekend, or you try and build a game in a week. And it's sort of like you put it into the game jam and you get feedback on it, and you sort of think, is this idea worth carrying on with? Because games are massive, they're huge, huge pieces of software, and they take years to make. So, like, if you spend a weekend on something and you realize it's fun, then it's worth maybe continuing to pursue.
Mm.
The thing is, too, is that like seeing think MBS put up a tweet about the sewer run, and it did quite well. And there was a lot of people remembering the game,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes me think that like a mountain boarding game probably is possible. Like you'd have to make it nostalgic for sewer run.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what maybe I was getting confused with Subway Surfers earlier, because it is, if though that sort of style of rolling levels as such, you could quite easily use, say quite easily, Imu makes cups of coffee for a living. You could quite easily use that model, but have learnt tricks throughout, complete a level to unlock this grab or whatever, and then you can stick in jumps in between, can't you, and rails and things like that. So it's Subway Surfer but mountain boarding.
I think like the thing is too, I made a longboarding game, and it was another part-time, just like me going, wouldn't it be cool if I made a longboarding game? I had the idea of like, on a longboard you sort of kick out your back to do a slide. I was like, well, I'm doing that with my fingers now. What if I did that on a phone screen?
Yeah.
So I made a little like Android game called Longboard Slide. I'm not very good at names.
That's exactly what it says, though.
That's it. And it helps the search algorithm.
Yeah.
You go in that Android store and you type in longboard, and I'm there. But yeah, hopefully.
Hold on a sec. Did you just say to Claire off camera there, longboard slide? Claire, are you going on the App Store now?
I am indeed.
I don't know if it'll work. Unfortunately, I haven't updated it in a few years, and Android's updated, and you sort of have to play a bit of cat and mouse to make sure that everything works. But yeah, it was a fun wee experiment, and it had something like 15,000 downloads, I think. Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, that's just me mucking about at home. So, I mean, if you know anybody who does animation or 3D modeling, because I'm a programmer, sorry, I make the games work, not how they look.
Right.
So
to our thousands and thousands of viewers and listeners, if you are a 3D modeler, or what was the other title you gave there?
An
animator.
Yeah.
Let's make a Tom Kirkman's pro mountain boarder. Like that.
Why not? It's one of those things too. I'd love to make one in work, but convincing someone to invest millions of pounds into something is a tough sell.
Probably a fair bit more money involved in Gaelic football.
Yeah, it's quite a big sport over here, so it is national sport. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things with motion capture suits and all. So like,
those are the things with all the ping pong balls.
Yes. Yeah. It's actually, ours is loads of routers. So it is like Bluetooth, and then it uses the signals to figure out where someone is. Yeah, new stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was class to go over to the champs and see that many people interested in it. Because again, I didn't expect that big. I still in my head, I was like, oh, there's hardly anybody in mountain boards. But yeah, there's loads of people there. It was a class event too, even though it rained. I think, poor old Matt runs about thinking, oh my goodness, things aren't going to plan, and you're like, man, this is amazing. I'd
forgotten how much it rained on that weekend, because we did get good weather on one of the days, didn't we?
Yeah.
Downhill day and the freestyle day, I think, weren't that great. Is that right?
Yeah. Bordercross was all right. It dried up pretty good for it, didn't it?
Yeah. The heartbreaking thing was the practice was really dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Friday that track was running fucking fast. So cool. And it was the first time I'd ridden the new features there that week, where they changed the bottom section. Are you, David, going to be coming across for this year's champs, do you think?
No. Oh, well, we'll rephrase that. David, when are you coming over this season? This summer? There's some dates.
Essentially, I'm gonna try and do the same thing as last year, which is go over for 10 days and do the weekend before the champs. I'll go down to Bugs, and then I'm going down to the track. Yes.
Yeah. UK's got a new spot.
That's it. We now have like 2 places to go. I was actually kind of raging when Bullsworth closed. Or Heels. I keep like 10 years ago.
All of the above.
I noticed Bowsworth.
Yeah, because
it's the centre of many names, that one.
that's it. It would have been super easy for me to get a boat over and get there, because Belfast to Liverpool, simple boat. You can literally get that boat without a car for like £9 or something.
Oh.
So I could have got over there really easily, but unfortunately that, the centre basically closed just after I started really getting back into mountain boarding. But yeah, I don't know. We got 2 places to go in England now. There's a nice spot near Birmingham, I think, too.
Oh yeah, that track or whatever it is looks amazing. Keep seeing loads of good footage come out there, but it's just a public place, isn't it?
Is it?
I believe so.
Too bad.
I believe, just council made. I don't know.
Mad.
But yeah,
I might stop at it on the way down. We'll see.
Yeah.
When are you going to be imbued?
I don't think we'll be imbued.
Let's back it off again.
There's no Ivy Leaf, so yeah. No, I don't think. I think I'm going down to it's like a small village near the track. Don't know. I can't remember the name. All I know is that I'm going somewhere near the track.
I've got a feeling we had a chat about this earlier on in the week, didn't we? And I've got a feeling I'm not going to be there, unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
the track will be there.
The jumps are there.
What you're going there for will
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Shame.
This is where we find out all of a sudden that that's the busiest week of the year for mountain boarders when I'm away.
That's the thing. If folks did plan, a week in England, like, I have 2 spots to go. I was sort of like, part of me was thinking of going to France. Because I think the English champs got announced a bit later this year. It's like, are they happening? Aren't they happening? I was sort of debating whether to go over France. I think that's maybe next year. So it is. Because those centres look amazing. In the woods.
Yeah.
Sort of that border cross track as well. That's the one, I forget the name of it, the one where the World Championships happen.
Compiègne.
It looks unbelievable.
Oh, they're leading the pack at the minute. The French are. There's it seems like one a year opening, roughly.
Wow.
But at least the last couple of years.
Maybe that's it. Maybe, England had a sort of mountain boarding renaissance in the mid 2000s. Maybe it's France's turn, you know.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way.
And that they've got the passion and the drive. We was talking about it with Antoine and Ivan on our last episode. That, as we said earlier, that it's that community spirit. It's not just one person alone trying to do everything.
No, there's hot pockets all over France, isn't there?
Yeah. And there are teams behind all those areas, all working together to build. And that's essentially what's happening.
Yeah.
Same with the Southern America areas like Brazil and that. They're all got such a cohesive community going on that it's just shining.
I've seen a few of their tracks just down through what looks to me like jungle, and I'm like,
Like fucking rainforest, mental, isn't it?
unbelievable.
So lush.
Just this red dirt and like
Yeah, and it looks
chicanes.
so sculptured and just like flowy.
Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable. I was on like a school trip in Peru, and me and Tim were just wandering down a random street in Peru, and there was COM16. I was just like, mountain board, and the guy just didn't speak like a word of English, and we sort of just had like this little like 10-minute session of like no complies and 180s and stuff.
That's fucking brilliant.
You'll find them anywhere. Like I think that was Cusco in Peru in 2006. I think it's mad.
Mate on the side of the road was using it to push his produce around on.
It's nuts. So it is. I think we're everywhere. It's just a case of like, I don't know, getting them on Instagram, I suppose. You know.
Trying. Anyhow, look, we're coming up on sort of time and that here, but in the background I can see your current setup there. Just run through what you're riding, what set up at the minute. I can see a Heroes at David Johnson.
Yes, it is. At
What
the moment, I've got the David and I've got the Matrix 3s. I've
Nice.
got the newest ones with the red shocks in them. Not red, no, wait, orange.
I was gonna say, whoa, tell me about that. You'd be the only person I know riding then.
That's it. I used to be reds or like whatever egg shocks were like basically just solid. That's what I used to ride. But now with these, you just don't get speed wobbles. You just turn. You know, it's crazy.
They're a lot
I don't know
more
what
precise,
they
aren't
managed to do. But yeah, just basically that, and then just like standard MVS kit. And then this board, the Tommy K, it was the one I won 2 Irish Opens, and I've sort of kept that as a wee memento,
Yeah.
just like those wins. There's been a few people who've asked me about buying it, and I'm like, it's kind of my medal, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you're racing for stuff like, you know, I think I got ATB shop vouchers. So, you know,
Have you I can see there. So you will never ride that again?
I probably will. I probably will set it back up at some stage. They're class boards. I just got that used to like the Hero has such wide footing that
Mhm.
it's just I've gotten used to that, and I think that's like I don't know. I don't think I don't think it makes for a particularly aesthetically pleasing board. But I think ride wise, that's how I want my mountain board to be. It's just big, wide foot area. It just feels like yeah. Um yeah. I don't know. I've one of them, and I actually have an electric board. But problem with the electric board is, again, I was watching all them videos, you know, your Trampa videos, Bryn Brothers, Dibs clips, all that stuff, getting back into it, seeing other people doing the sport. And I bought an electric board being like, well, there's no one going to ride with me. This will be the perfect thing to get. And then I gave Brian my old board, and the electric's been ridden about twice in the last 2 years.
Oh.
But
It's £2,000. You know, ugh,
I
it's
think
class. Like, but mountain boarding's, I don't know. I was going to say mountain boarding's better. Mountain boarding is my preferred thing.
No, I think you're correct in that statement.
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? You know, as you said, we've gone and done plenty of adventures and will continue to do plenty of adventures on our e-boards. But yeah, it's still a different beast. It's still a different beast.
Yeah.
And
Never beat the feeling of just like bombing a hill.
Yeah.
You can go really, really fast on electric, but you always know that there's a fallback there. It's always there. You know, if you bomb a hill on a mountain board, you are moving. You're past that scrub speed, and you're just going like, you know, that feeling's that's the reason I ride a mountain board. You know.
Oh yes. Well, look, dude. I'm wondering. I'm kind of thinking I'm out of questions here. Was there anything that you wanted to add, or Slogs? Have you got any questions you wanted to add?
No, I think you've done very well tonight, Dan.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Got any shout outs to anyone you've forgotten to mention? Anyone you're going to get in trouble with if you don't mention?
Or is there anything on the paper that we need to mention?
Did you tick them off as you went?
I made notes. I suppose I have one more thing.
Yeah.
You recognize this?
It's the person next. I want hospital.
Have you ever seen that guy?
No.
Like in a meme or anything?
Again.
This guy?
No. Should I? Should
He
we?
was like, he's a meme called 10 guy. It was
Right.
like spread around the world. And it was basically caused by me. And that guy who became this like he sold an NFT, you know, those weird things during COVID. He sold one of them for 15 grand of his face. But he was one of the kids in my street who I mountain boarded. And it was me who posted the picture.
Amazing.
But that's sort of like my weird claim to fame, I suppose. I did the Skate 3 thing as well. But no, that was about it. I was just like, I'll mention Connor.
I'll be delighted with that.
Well, I'm glad that you put that in for sure.
That's it. I'm sure somebody will recognize it. It was a massive stoner meme. So it was.
I want to know, how do you go? I feel like I've missed out here. I could have sold a picture of myself for 15 grand during COVID.
No, you couldn't have.
What? No. Oh.
You might have. It was a weird time. So it was. Some of those ones who were like.
Weird times, Dan. I'll give you 15 grand.
The feet pics, they're the expensive one. Apart from that, I suppose just shout outs. Like, I keep saying that videos and stuff got me into this. Stuff like you guys, you know, the Dirt Podcast. Like, what I'm saying so strange about me being on this is that I've watched loads of these episodes. I've watched, you know, all the Trampa stuff, Bren Brothers, all that, and all that just sort of like, I don't know, got me back into the sport and keeps me riding, you know. I think that stuff's super, super important when it comes to like, you know, keeping people stoked, essentially. So all those guys, whoever's making videos, whoever's posting up on Instagram, thanks to all those people, I suppose.
Yeah. It is nice to be able to open your socials these days and just see mountain boarding around the world at your fingertips on a daily basis. You know, like you don't have to wait a month for ATB Mag to come out, or wait till the next competition to get your hands on a copy of Scuzz or something like that. But yeah, now it's just there every day for the most part, and there's stuff fresh every day. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'd say probably even more so than back in the day.
Yeah,
because you get a YouTube video every now and then that's, you know, 4 minutes long or whatever, but now it's just clip. You know, constant streaming.
And absolute bangers.
Yeah, as well as like sometimes we get a long form video and like, they're amazing. So they are.
Yeah.
I've seen a few that 20-minuters.
Yeah, 20
from, like,
minutes, 25 plus. You know you're in for a good shout there, don't you?
yeah, like
I must say,
what
I am.
Sonny's put out, and Eamon, I think he's made a few longer ones. Like they're amazing. I don't know, they're what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I'm gutted that the 4 down isn't going to be happening this year.
Yeah,
But hopefully that won't make a difference, and people will still be motivated to go and, just video their local scene and put it out for us all to see, because we're all gagging for it.
I've just realised I haven't mentioned Lisa.
Who?
Which would get me in real big trouble. Yeah, shout out to her. She's like, in my opinion, the best female mountain there's ever been. Put that out there. Sure, some people disagree with that, but I don't see anybody doing 360s as big as her, backflips, and the racing she does, that speed of her.
Yeah. She can hold her own, that maid. She certainly can.
We've seen that like at Surfing Dirt too, which was like this girl started last year and she's up there with us. What's going on? She just took to the sport.
Oh, she is an absolute like enigma. She's so out there in her riding ability. It is just a joy to watch, and I don't think that's an unfair claim there on that. The only person that I could think of off the top of my head that would have even come close would have been Nikki Forecast. But I think, to be fair to both of them, Lisa's got things more on lock. She looks smoother and, dare I say it, more stylish in the air. I think she's got a bigger bag of tricks than Nikki had, and I think she'd probably have her in a race as well.
Yeah, racing wise, what just completely blew me away about Lisa, to be honest. She went over to England and then came back and she was beating us all. We were like, what's going on?
She never stops smiling. Such positive energy. It's incredible.
Yeah, lovely girl. So she is.
Yeah. Shame the Scots have claimed her now, eh?
I know, they keep stealing us. Like, it's Adam and her over there.
That's it. Surely, Dave, you've got to be next, right? Iron Brewer looking for new sponsored athletes as we speak.
That's it. Over to Rockstar North. Next GTA.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe you might help them get it out a bit quicker then if you did.
That's it. Stick a mountain board in it.
Yeah, stick a mountain board in it. That's what they need to do for the next Grand Theft Auto game to be a success. Is stick a mountain.
At least one.
I could just imagine it being pushed around town now with a really wide stance so he don't knock his feet into the wheels.
You do a heist on it or something.
Perfect. Well, look, on that bombshell, if that's all right, Dave, I'm going to look to tie it up here. I really can't thank you enough for stopping by. It's been an absolute joy. My cheeks are aching from all the smiling and fun that I've had on. It has been great to have you on here.
It really has. Thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Lovely to have a chat again after meeting you last year.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you real soon, man.
That's it. I'll see you soon.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Enjoy the track when I'm not there. If you're still there on the Thursday,
you have to let me know when you're down there.
Yeah, well, the week before the champs.
Why aren't you there? What, you got some family stuff, have you?
Yeah, I'm away on.
I might be available then. I'll come down with you.
Oh, sick. We'll get everybody down. Dan's not there.
That's it. Perfect. Well, gents.
Right. Thanks very much, lads.
Yeah.
Cheers, folks.
See you soon.
With David Marshall. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you gan yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dirty Dirt fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.